Hello, my loves. I hope you are doing so well. I have little my tea with me today. Mm, I wanted to tell you about my week last week because it is an interesting one. This isn't a great hook to start off a YouTube video, but you know what? It's my channel, so I guess I'm going to do whatever I want. So, let me tell you this story because I ended up in freeze mode last week and it was good. It was good. I know that feels ridiculous to say because you, like me, probably end up in freeze mode or some kind of stress state at different points. And I'm just here to tell you that it's normal and it's okay. So let's talk about it, okay? Let me get myself situated here. Okay. So, last week. Okay. Let me let me backtrack a little bit. Okay. So, I have been building this Portal of Self Trust program, right? The Portal of Self Trust. I know you've heard me talk about it. You probably see the banner at the top of my YouTube page as well. And I have been building this program, and it is quite the expansive experience for me. I have never built a program like this before. So it's all new in my body, which means that my mind feels very excited about it. My body is like, what the hell are we doing, Mackenzie? And it's this moment where I'm expanding and I'm reaching an edge that I haven't quite reached before. So and if you've been around, you know what the portal of self-trust is, maybe, but the portal of self-trust, just for those of you who don't know, is a 6-week program where I am teaching you the practices and the techniques that have helped me move forward in my life when I was uncertain, when other people were telling me this is a really questionable idea. I was saying that nicely, but um are you sure you want to do that? I was getting opinions of others and I ended up on the other side because I trusted myself and my own intuition, and that I knew that regardless of what anybody was saying, my internal compass was pointing in this direction. And so I'm teaching you the techniques and practices that helped me move through those moments, take action to gain clarity and like get me unstuck out of you know paralysis, freeze paralysis, or like the stress states. And last week I had one of those stress states because I'm doing something new, right? This is to be expected when we're going into these new terrains and these new moments in our lives, and we're like, I'm venturing out into this new thing. I think sometimes, I talked about this in another video, sometimes people think that with confidence there's no fear, and I just am like, that's not true. It's not true at all. I've had moments where, like last week, when I got really nervous and I didn't know what to do, and I wasn't quite moving forward in the way that I wanted to, and then I got like, oh, I got really wound up in my body, and I ended up just scrolling on my phone for a while and feeling disappointed in myself and all of that. But the coolest thing is that the way that I got out of that, the way that I moved through that, was through techniques from the portal of self-trust that I'm going to teach in this 6-week program. Hopefully teach you if you'd like to be part of it, and if you're ready to get in there and do some work in deconditioning yourself and unlearning some of these patterns that you've built for safety, right? Okay, so let me get into the story. So that's what the portal of self trust is. But story of last week. So last week, I had a wonderful coaching call with my business coach that I'm very grateful to have. Thanks, Rachel. And I had this coaching call with my business coach. I had a meeting with my teammate, and in we were planning out all of these things, but there was a little like stress in the air, right? There was a little like, how are we going to get people into this program, right? Which honestly, not a great way to build a program. I'll say that. Because I want to come from this moment where this feeling of I believe in this work and I do believe in this work so much. And even when I believe in this work, it still doesn't mean that the process isn't happening, right? And part of the process is sometimes a little of self-doubt, and that's okay, right? So, anyway, I start off the week pretty strong. And but there's a little something in the background that I'm like, what's going on there? And then I get to the middle of the week and I'm just like, gosh, I don't even something's kind of bubbling up to the surface. It was this feeling that felt a little uncomfortable, a little like all of a sudden I didn't know what was going on. All of a sudden I was questioning what we were doing, or was this going to work? And if you've thought that too, then we're this program, I'm building this for you. um it was that moment of in between, right? And I kind of love the in between. That's like one of the things that I'm good at, is being in the in between, in that kind of messy middle area. But I got into that messy middle, that in between area where I said to myself, "Wait, is it is this right? Like, is this right? Like, what am I supposed to be doing here?" So, instead of doing the things that I needed to do, right? The tasks and the uh the things that were going to actually lead me forward, I did this pattern that I have done for a very long time. And I started over strategizing, over planning. And I got real up into my head about what the plan would be to get people into the portal of self trust, right? Obviously, we need to kind of have some kind of plan, right? We need to have some kind of plan for ourselves as we're building these programs. And that just makes sense as a business owner, right? Is that I want people to come in and I need to tell people about it. So how am I going to tell people about it? That's fine. But this was like the 20th plan that I had made, right? And it does, and this is what it does. It creates a space in my mind that says we're doing something, right? We're we're making a plan. So it's good. It's good for me to have a plan and know how I'm going to move forward. But when we start to look at the bigger pattern, the bigger arc over everything, and when I started to look at the bigger pattern for myself, I was like, yeah, I know that this is my pattern. I know that this is the thing that I do when I'm feeling uncertain. And I'm not sure. And I'm not sure how when I'm kind of avoiding taking action. When I'm feeling that little twinge of self-doubt. And when I'm feeling that like moment where I'm not quite sure if this is right, you know. And really I think what's happening in those moments for myself is that I'm looking for some sense of control in the middle of the free fall. Because when we take these big leaps, when we decide that we're going to do something, you know, I've felt this when I've moved across the country. I've felt this when I've reached out to a new friend that I'm trying to get to know. I've um I've felt this like even when I'm going to try a new food, you know, it's condensed, but it can span all of those things. Um there's this moment in the in between where it's like I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. I don't know, and I'm kind of mid-flight and I'm thinking about abandoning my original mission. And so and, you know, my goal is to open this program on May 1st. But I'm mid-flight and I'm going, "Ah." Like, where where's the ground that to stand on? And the truth is that there's in the mid-flight moment, there's not a lot of ground to stand on, right? We're taking off. So, over strategizing, over planning is this moment for me to feel like I'm grounding myself, right? And it's my pattern to notice, right? I I started noticing that pattern, right? And I was like, I had this whole plan. I had this whole like social media plan, exactly how I thought it should go. And the thing was, it wasn't coming from here, from my intuition down in my second chakra, you know, down in my power center. Like, it was not coming from that place. It was coming from here and here. And that back there, the amygdala, you know that place, right? The lizard brain that is, you know, where your stress state, you know, the brain that we go back into when the stress state in the nervous system hits. And it was all coming from back there. I was like, if I plan this out, I'll be safe. And this is the thing. When I was in yoga teacher training, yoga uh one of the yoga instructors said, plans are planning is priceless. Plans are useless. Planning is priceless and plans are useless. When it's time to take action, we don't know if the plans are going to work. When you're in the room with a bunch of students, I know this as a yoga teacher, you know, for many years. I've been in the room with the students before. I had a whole plan and I looked around the room and I said, "We're not doing that today." This is not the time for that practice, you know. Uh so we can plan as much as we want, and that might make us feel safe in the moment, and that's okay to allow a little bit of that happen because I think that's just that, at least for me, signaled that my nervous system was feeling unsafe and I was feeling up in my head and up in my lizard brain, and I needed something to help me bring myself back down. So, as soon as I noticed this, I paused and I said to myself, okay, we're going to bring it back down here. We're going to bring it way back down. I need to take a moment and notice what's happening. And when I felt into my body, I knew that I was in the stress state. And I was like, "Ooh, wait a minute. That's the pattern again. That's that pattern again." And this is the thing. I'm not here to judge the pattern. I'm just here to notice that it's happening. Pattern's fine. Pattern has felt like it's kept me safe for a long time. And I know that at this moment, it doesn't serve me anymore. I don't need to keep repeating this pattern because I am moving beyond this pattern. And it's not about, you know, thinking our way out of it, but it's about being a little kinder to ourselves. Um, so as I noticed that pattern, the next thing I did was I took a break. I allowed myself to just stop, put it down. And let me tell you, it was uncomfortable. It wasn't like the funnest part of the process for me, but it was this moment of like, okay, we need to just like pause. We need to just stop. And it was this moment where I was like, I'm going to recognize that the pattern is happening. I'm going to allow it to be there and I'm going to take a beat. I moved my body. I took a walk. I did some yoga. And that helped me to kind of get out of my head and into my body, right? But the thing that helped me so much was EFT tapping, and maybe not in the way that you've learned it before. So, I have done EFT tapping before, and I love it for acknowledging the real feelings that are happening in the body. But there's two other rounds that I do that are different than how I originally learned it. And it's really shifted so much. Um, I did the first round, I did the acknowledgement of my feelings. It was important because we're not here to bypass the feelings that are coming up in the body, but we want to honor that they're happening and not just like override them with affirmations or something. The second thing that I did was do a round where I reframed the reality. And I said, what if it could be easy? What if I don't have to be nervous about this, right? And a little bit more to it than that, but this is the quick version. The third round that I do is create a new belief and open it up to a different belief system, a different way that I want to think about it. And when I tell you that in just 15 minutes, it's like my whole body feels different. Wow. I'm so glad that I picked back up this practice because it works with the body and the mind and honoring what's actually happening in the body and inviting the nervous system to kick back online and reinstate that calm, relaxed feeling. And wow, what a difference. What a difference. So wild. So anyway, I did that. And I want to pause right here and tell you that I actually recorded this whole practice for you. So if you go into there's a link in the description below. And if you pop into there, um, I recorded this practice so that you can do the practice too and feel it in your body because it is a game changer. So I was like really excited to share it with you. This is like one of many techniques that I'm teaching you inside of the portal of self-trust, by the way. So pop down there and get that practice because it's a game changer. But I did this so that my nervous system could calm down. Because what needs to happen is we need to create safety in the body to feel okay moving forward with the action, right? And we get into this much more in the portal of self-trust about the architecture of self-trust. It's it's cool. Um it's cool. It's just cool to put it all together, all these things that I've been creating. So it's pretty cool. I'm into it. So anyway, so I did the EFT tapping. And then I picked what's the smallest amount of action that I can do, right? I went through this question list that I created for myself and I also created for you. And you'll get it with that EFT tapping practice too. Oops. Uh so I went through the questions and I found what the smallest next action step was. And that led me to just posting one story on Instagram just to like break the ice a little bit. And I, and even doing that felt kind of scary to me, which was interesting to notice as well. But it got me back into the rhythm of things. And then I was like, listen, you don't have to do the whole plan that you just did, or, you don't have to do this whole strategy. You just need to do one thing at a time, the next right step, whatever the next right step is. Just take that. That's going to bring you more information. That's going to bring you more clarity. That's going to help you just take the next step forward. And once we take that next step forward, it's like this break in the wave that where all of it just felt like everything was laying really heavy on me until I took that next step. And once I took that next step, I was able to relax, allow myself to um notice what happened and remind myself that we're good, especially to my body. Nothing bad happened because you posted that story on Instagram, right? You're safe here. So I wanted to tell you this story just so you could feel what it felt like inside of everything and feel what it felt like inside of this moment of self-doubt and this and in that leap of self-trust. I think this is just a thing that happens for us, right? Especially when we're expanding, especially when we've been doing something that we haven't done before. And, sometimes even when we are doing stuff that we have done before. I can't tell you, I taught over 1,000 hours of yoga classes. And I still will get nervous, right before I get on the mat to teach in front of people. And I taught so many yoga classes. I know how to do it. Like even after recently I tried to record a yoga class, and even after many years, I just hopped back on the mat. I hit record and I taught a yoga class, and I was like, wow, that was like riding a bike. What am I nervous about? But I was pretty nervous leading up to that, even though I had taught all that time, right? Sometimes that's just where we're at. That's okay. That doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. That means that you're alive and you're living and you're stepping into your life and actually pushing yourself and expanding a little bit and maybe a lot of bit. So, I if you have found yourself in these kinds of moments where you're going, "Oh man, that feels like that." I have felt that self-doubt in the middle of the leap. I have felt that discomfort and that growth edge in the middle of that expansion. Then try out the EFT tapping practice. And our and these questions that I'll send to you around taking action. I It helped me so much, and this is like a sliver of what we're doing inside of the portal of self-trust. Maybe you know now that you feel stuck and you're trying to figure out how to trust yourself and you want to move yourself forward, then the portal of self-trust might be for you. The EFT tapping is going to show you just a little bit of what we're doing. And I mean, the practice is great, but when I tell you that we're going to be doing these live coaching calls where you can ask questions, you can tell me the things that you're having a hard time with, and I will meet you in that moment. We'll talk about it. I call you in to yourself, I don't call you out. And we talk about what kinds of practices you could use specifically for yourself so that you can start to uh, interrupt some of those patterns and move forward in a different way. Now, we are talking about self trust, but I will tell you that your intuition will be deepened. Your intuition will pop online with these practices because I know that my intuition has only gotten stronger the more that I trust myself, the more that I step away from other people's opinions and step into my opinion, own my own idea of what my life should be. If you consider yourself a recovering people pleaser like me, and or someone who spends a lot of time thinking but not actually acting, this is the program. This is exactly what we're doing. So, um check out the EFT tapping video. It's great. It's such a great practice. I can't even tell you enough. And if you're ready for the portal of self-trust, we are ready to have you. We start May 1st and I'm just so excited for this program. I can't tell you how excited I am. It's going to be 6 weeks of really restructuring how you approach your own self trust, making it unshakable in these moments of uncertainty, and giving you practices that you can return to for your entire life. Your entire life. I promise it has changed mine. So, I will see you in the next video. And I hope to see you in the portal of self trust if you're ready to dive in. Uh, I, I can't wait. All right. I will see you later. Sending you so much big love.